Hello, I'm Joel Aiden and welcome to GAA Youth Beyond the Pitch, a series that has been designed and produced by the GAA Youth Reps, which addresses topics of interest by young people across the GAA, LGFA and Camogie Association. Today, we are delighted to be joined by Aishling Sheridan, the former Cavan and Mullinahorn footballer who prior to the coronavirus was living in Australia playing for the Collingwood Football Club in the AFL. However, due to the pandemic, she has returned to Ireland and joins us here today. Along with that, we are also joined by Conor McDonald, the Naivana hurler who played senior county hurling with his county Wexford since 2013. He was also part of the Wexford panel in 2019, where he won his first Leinster title. Off the pitch, he's a qualified personal trainer with his own gym in Wexford. During lockdown, both of our guests provided online workouts to people, putting their expertise to the test. Today's topic is about well-being. The main theme of this topic is the 5 ways to good well-being, as outlined by Mental Health Ireland. Number 1, connect. Number 2, be active. Number 3, take notice. Number 4, keep learning. And number 5, give. So lads, you're all very welcome today.
Hi.
How are you doing?
So I suppose we'll start off with a few questions. Obviously, Conor, you're playing intercounty with Wexford.
Yeah, I surely am.
So what's it like during the pandemic now, training and everything?
Training has definitely been challenging over the last number of months. I suppose with the lockdown that was initially here, when there was no kind of group sessions, it was particularly difficult. But kind of, I suppose I was in a lucky situation where I was able to get into my own gym and do something positive for my own kind of mental health and keep myself taken over. Then obviously physically as well. That, to be honest with you, it was secondary to my mental fitness or mental toughness, we'll say. Getting out there, doing a bit of training, whatever it was, trying different things. It was more for the head now than the body. But it was quite difficult. It's just been a difficult year, to be honest, with so much different things going on. But it's been a challenge.
And I suppose, what's it like playing in an empty stadium?
Again, it's different. We played our first. I played my first kind of game with an empty stadium in our county final. We played the county final this year. There was 200 or 400 or 200, and then there was 100 for the semi-final, and then for the final, then they pulled the plug on fans completely. Which was I would say it probably didn't help us as a club. Our town team, we normally bring a big crowd, and we're playing a countryside who probably don't bring as many people in general. So I'm not going to put that down to why we lost, but it certainly would have had a bit of a factor. But yeah, again, it brings a challenge. It's challenges, but it's just how you overcome them. Really, I feel.
And I suppose you've also been playing intercounty, as I said, for the last couple of years. So you've had your own fair share of time with Davy Fitz. What's it like training with him?
Yeah, sure. I think it's fairly well documented now at this stage how good Davy is, and his record probably speaks for itself as well. He demands the best from you in every aspect of the game. And look, to be honest, it's where every player wants to be is at the top of their game for as long as possible. And if you have a man there and a backroom team that are kind of trying to enforce making you that player, then that's the best you can ask for, really. But yeah, like the whole backroom team that he brings with him, can fill you with confidence. And I think especially this year hasn't exactly went to plan, but we've had our fair share of good days since Davy's been around as well. So it's been good.
And what would a usual day be for you now during the lockdown?
During the lockdown, usual day for me now would be, I normally try to get up as early as I would on a normal, if it was no lockdown. I'd probably try to be up for maybe 7 o'clock, just for nutrition, kind of, say in the last number of weeks when we've been training, just to keep everything kind of on par of to normality. I wouldn't be staying in bed till 12 o'clock or anything. I don't think I'll be able to anyway, but just try to get into a cycle where I feel comfortable, and I'd probably do some sort of training in the morning, whereby if it was a training day, I might just get a bit of a stretching session in and make sure the body is loose and ready to rock. And yeah, like I say, we could be training maybe 2 or 3 times in a week. So any other day that you're not, you might be doing a gym session there or a recovery session after a tough field session. But yeah, it's different. Work is mostly online, like these kind of situations where you're on Zooms and stuff, which has brought its own kind of different aspect of that. And to be fair, I'm actually enjoying that as well. So yeah, they normally take place either at 7 in the morning or 7 in the evening. So just getting people online, get them moving, and trying to keep everyone as sane as they possibly can and in good spirits, and deal with what we have been dealt with, I suppose.
I go to you, Aishling. So obviously you moved from Ireland to Australia. You might just give an explanation between like the differences of AFL to Gaelic for people that mightn't know.
Yeah, I always get asked this. So my way of explaining it would be it's a mix between, I suppose, Gaelic and rugby. Obviously, the ball is probably more like a rugby ball, but it is different. And then the tackling obviously is another big thing that you can't do in Gaelic. But then, in some ways there's similar rules, like you have a certain amount of steps and you have to either bounce the ball or get rid of it. And I suppose it's very fast paced as well. So it's similar in that way to Gaelic. Now I know obviously some of the rules are changing, and especially for the men in Gaelic, maybe like the advanced mark. So that was another thing to probably learn. Especially for majority of the Irish girls, we found that we'd catch the ball from a kick and our first thought would be to run, and then you'd get tackled, and it was a free against you. So that was probably a big thing as well, because they generally wanted to catch the ball from a kick, slow it down, stop, and it was nearly it was hard at the start, trying to learn probably 2 different things, and then obviously the transition back. But I suppose that's where lockdown, then I used it to my advantage, got back onto the round ball, because the way you catch both balls is completely different. One you bring to your body, the other you catch away from your body. So I suppose I used lockdown for that, to just sharpen up my Gaelic skills again, and kind of took it for what it was. But yeah, I suppose you'd say it's a mix between rugby and Gaelic. Yeah.
And I suppose, how did you get into playing AFL?
So 2 years ago, there was this organisation, they're called the Cross Coders, and they had put out if anyone would be interested in trying AFLW or whatever. So they'd ask players, and they had invitations open, you could apply to it or whatever. So I was lucky enough to get shortlisted and was brought out to Melbourne for like a week training camp, where we were practically ran through the combine in a way, like we would have had to do a 2K test, agility test, all the kind of stuff, things that what would go on in the combine for Australian players. So that was for a week. There was loads of us all from Ireland, but then there was also girls from America, Wales, netballers. It wasn't just Gaelic footballers. There was camogie players too, a mix of everything really. And so that was where I suppose Australia got to see the talent maybe from all over the world and not just in Ireland. And then a team kept in contact. And then I was lucky enough to fly over again the following year, and got to stay for a month and play. I suppose you'd say it's more like a club with a club team, in comparison to, if you have to compare it like a county team. So I got to stay for a month, played 2 games there, and then I suppose I was out in Australia playing their game, and that's probably where teams got to see me. And then on my way home from Australia for that month, I had got a few offers and got interest from other teams, and then I was just very lucky, I suppose, because I was unsuccessful probably the first time round, and then the second time round the ball was kind of more so in my court, so I was very lucky.
So obviously you've had a very rare experience of playing a professional sport at an elite level. What was it like moving across the world?
It was definitely very nerve-wracking, but I suppose there was a good few Irish girls, and one of my college housemates, she was on the same team, and we were living together as well. So in one sense, it wasn't too scary. We had each other on the airplane and stuff like that. So I think it was just more so the fear of leaving everyone at home. But again, I moved out in the middle of November, and I knew I was coming home at Christmas. We had time off, so in a way it kind of felt like a holiday. And then it probably was more real going back at Christmas, because I didn't know when I'd be coming home. So it was definitely very nerve-wracking. But I suppose once I got out there, I got settled into my house. I got to meet the girls, the management, everything like that. It kind of clicked straight away. They were very lovely, very welcoming, and it was actually fine. I think it was more so the thoughts of it. But then once you get there, it's grand.
I suppose keeping in with the topic of well-being, how did you connect with your new teammates and new people over there? And also, how did you stay connected with people at home?
So over there, they're very big on their culture and, in being involved within the team. Before we even started training, we went on a team bonding, playing, I don't know what game it was, something like golf, something along them lines. I can't even remember what they called it. It's something just for fun to kind of bond with each other. And I got to meet all the girls there, and then I was living with some of them as well. So in terms of connecting with them, it actually happened quite easy and probably more quickly than I thought. And then I suppose keeping in contact at home, it worked well because the time zone difference. When I would have my free time was when, it was either evening time at home, so people here had their free time. So if it was the morning for me, it was the evening here. So it was easy to get in contact with my family and my friends. And then obviously after training in the night time, it was morning here. So again, it actually wasn't too bad, and it kind of gave me the day off, got me away from my phone, and because nothing was really happening, I kind of got a chance to just enjoy Australia then as well. So for me, it worked well, and I just made an effort I used to ring my family most days and my friends and just keep in contact just to make sure everything was going okay here.
Good. So Conor, you've also had an experience of trying to connect with new teammates. You've played for UCD, you've played on different inter-county teams, you've played minor, under 21. How did you connect with so many new teammates, and how did you stay connected with them?
Well, I'd say probably the biggest year of that was 2013. I was 17. I was my last year of minor, and I ended up playing under 21 and senior that year. So there was three groups of players there at different ages, different obviously different ideas on different championships, and just lads at different stages in their lives really. So that was probably an early introduction to how I could force myself into situations that as a 17-year-old there might not always be comfortable. As well as that was probably my first year with the club adult team as well. So there was just an awful lot of new faces, and to be fair, a lot of the teams were very welcoming in every situation. They probably acknowledged the situation I was in as well, and made me feel like I was completely welcome, and it makes everything an awful lot easier. I'm sure, like Aishling has said there, like it makes everything an awful lot easier when the people you're going into are probably as interested in you as you are them. And I think as well, if you've a core value that you want to express, whether if it's in sport, you're trying to succeed all the time, you're trying to get the best out of yourself as a person and physically and mentally, that's generally a common goal. So it's an awful lot easier at times to engage with people who feel the same and who have the same kind of aspirations as well.
I suppose, what advice would you give? Like, there'll be people listening to this podcast might be moving from minor to up to senior level in different clubs, or be playing on new teams, and they might find it hard to kind of fit in with the older crowd. What advice would you give to them?
Well, like even in the club, for example, I would have found when I first came in, like you say, from minor to senior up to the adult grade, we were only junior at the time. There was an awful lot of adults, or say kind of older. We had kind of an aging team. We were looking to kind of hopefully build on a few good underage teams that went up. But I think to be honest with you, there was just a good group of players there, a good group of young people who weren't afraid to go in and express themselves, weren't afraid to engage with people. And I think that's the most important thing for me anyway, is you're not going to even create a really good environment if you don't, come out of your shell a little bit and make yourself feel kind of uncomfortable at times. The more often you're uncomfortable, the quicker it is, in my opinion, to be comfortable in situations that are not always like, the easiest to go into, if that makes sense. Going into a dressing room with men who have kids, and I'm a kid myself nearly, at times is quite daunting. But the earlier you break the barrier of being that kid of the group, the more, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's respect, but the more easier it is even for the older like lads to be able to come into you and chat about your interests outside hurling and stuff. So that's kind of, that would be my advice.
Great, yeah, good information. But moving on to the next topic of well-being is being active. So obviously both have qualifications in training, but being active is very emphasised when it comes to well-being. And lots of people over lockdown have struggled and will be struggling now again in the second lockdown, especially with the closure of GA clubs and gyms. What advice would you give to people who want to stay active, especially coming into the shorter winter days?
Yeah, like obviously we were probably a little bit lucky in ways, with the first lockdown, that there was we had good weather. We were able to kind of get outdoors and get some fresh air and stuff, and it was a little bit easier than what it is now. Like, it's what, 10 past 6 or 20 past 6 now in the evening, and it's dark over an hour. So that can be quite difficult. An awful lot of people are working from home, and it could be spilling rain by the time they're finished, whereas it wasn't before. But I think the biggest thing, to be honest with you, is to be able to just, if you're able to do anything, whether it's like a little hit workout for 20 minutes, get your body into a bit of a sweat, get your mind focusing on your body, rather than everything that's went on in one day. I think that's the biggest thing you can do for yourself. And a lot of people, I find as well, put themselves under so much pressure on trying to be something, that you might see on Instagram, or somebody who seems to be working out 3-4 times a day, or 5 or 6 times a week, and you're just thinking, like, no, I would say, especially now at the moment, work out or try to be active just for your own headspace, because
Mhm.
there's not much you can achieve in regards to even team sports. Like, you look at the average club player at the moment, like, the best thing you can do there is train for your own head. Train for to be a positive person, because obviously, working out and doing anything active is going to have a positive impact on you. I wouldn't be worrying about losing 3 or 4 stone just in a lockdown because you've seen someone on Instagram doing it. I think that's something I always try to tell people is, do what makes you happy. And if that means that you walk around your house for 5 minutes a day, then that's it. Don't just try gauge being active on other people.
Aisling, I'm going to ask you, what did you do over lockdown to kind of keep active and keep up and about?
For me, setting a routine probably was key. Like, as I have to agree with everything Conor said. Like, you see so much probably online, or you hear your friends doing this, and it can be very overwhelming. And I'd had a lot of people writing to me, and that they lost motivation over lockdown, which is completely normal. And I think it's okay, and we need to know that that's okay to lose motivation. Like, it happens to everyone. So I used to try to tell people, find something that you enjoy. If you don't enjoy going for a run, if you don't enjoy doing a workout, but you enjoy kicking the ball, or you enjoy a 10-minute walk, then focus on that rather than seeing someone do this. So for me, that was like, I was very lucky when I came home, and my family had set up a makeshift gym in the shed. Now, it was nothing spectacular, but it was absolutely everything we needed, and like, it's absolutely perfect now. It doesn't have to be the most fanciest thing or anything like that. And I suppose I was lucky as well. I had people around me. I had my sisters, so we had running. I had running to do just with football or with Collingwood or whoever it was, and we used to do our running sessions together. And then we obviously had the gym and that. But there was days like I wouldn't have been bothered doing anything. So then I kind of found a love for hit workouts rather than going to the gym. and they actually worked really well. And I just then offered my services up to my club team, saying, look at here, I'm going to do a HIIT workout, because I'd coached circuits before I went to Australia, and that got a great response. So I ended up then offering HIIT workouts on Instagram, which, you know, I actually really enjoyed myself. I found it was something that I liked. I didn't have to focus so much in the gym because I just wasn't in the mind space for it. I just kind of felt like I needed a break. And so I used to just set myself a routine. I'd have live HIIT classes maybe 3 times a week. So that was something I knew was set in stone. And then I suppose I used to try get some running sessions done with my sisters. Now I'd find it very hard to go by myself, so I was very lucky to just have someone there with me. But setting a routine, and then obviously just understanding that if you're not in the mood to do something, that is okay. You know, don't dwell on it. Don't let it affect your whole week. Even as Conor said, walk around the house for 10 minutes. That can be more beneficial than trying to go to the gym and doing a session that you don't want to do. So I used to always say, you know, focus on what you can do rather than what you can't. And I suppose that just kind of helped me get through lockdown, because there is days, and especially even now with the dark evenings, the wet evenings, it is hard to get out and about. So I'd always say to everyone, just focus what you can do. If you can't get outside, go for a run, then run around the house, or do a HIIT workout that's the equivalent of run. Do a 10-20 minute HIIT workout, and you'll still get the same benefits, and you'll probably feel better because you actually did something. But yeah, I just found that worked well for me.
Just on that as well, there's one thing I thought of there, right, was literally living in exactly this every single moment. So if you want to, like, I remember one day, I'll never forget, I started this series on Netflix. I can't think of the name of it now, but anyway, I ended up watching every single episode. There was one series, just because I said, right, well, you know what, I don't want to do anything else today. I'm living in the moment. I want to literally, that's what I want to do for today, and that's it. And then the following day, you end up working out. You could end up working out twice, you know, because that's what you want to do. I think that's very important as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Watching the series, all right. So I'll move on then to the third topic, which is take notice. Lots of our listeners, including myself, are sitting out, will be in school in 6th year or in college even, and will be sitting exams. Nowadays, there's a lot of pressure on young people, such as like what they'll do in life, such as the CAO, apprenticeships, what colleges to go to, or etc. While also balancing sport and school life is hard, naturally there is enough stress on young people nowadays. Aishling, I'll ask you, how did you deal with your stress while in Leaving Cert?
Well, like when I think back to the Leaving Cert, like I remember it was led up that it was going to be the be all and end all, and if you didn't do your Leaving Cert, you know, you weren't going anywhere. And like now I'd even talk to even my club girls and just say, like, the Leaving Cert isn't all it's made out to be. Like, some people will naturally do well, some people are intelligent. I myself, I was 16, I played county minor and county senior leading up to my Leaving Cert, so I used to try balance my study and my football. But again, I never knew really what I wanted to do. I'm always that kind of indecisive. It was like, what is my end goal? But football was one thing I knew I wanted to keep playing. Like, you know, that wasn't going to take a step back. Especially being on the senior county and stuff, I wanted to be there. So I would just say, especially with the Leaving Cert, like, it's okay. Like, I didn't get my first choice nor my second choice, and I got a choice that I actually didn't want. But I said, look, I'll have to take it. You know, this is the cards I was dealt. Ended up doing 2 years in a level 7 course, and then we played a challenge match. No, we played a college game against DCU, and I was with Sligo IT, and I actually remember because my sister was in a college linked DCU doing teaching. And I remember I texted her and I said, I just feel like that college is the one for me. You know, I really liked that athletic therapy and training course. Obviously I didn't get the points for it. So she was like, oh, don't worry, like, you know, you will get there someday. And I was just like, it was weird because then that the next month or so it came up that I was getting the opportunity to sit exams to actually transfer to second year of the athletic therapy and training course. Don't know how, it just it all just kind of worked out for me. Ended up doing the exams, passed them, transferred over to DCU, everything worked out perfect, met the best of friends, won an O'Connor Cup, like everything couldn't have worked out better. I obviously had to take a longer route. And you know what? I'm actually glad I did. I was quite young. I was 16 sitting my leaving cert. I was just been gone 17 heading up to Dublin. I don't think I would have been ready. And now when I look back, I'm like, you know, the leaving cert isn't the be all and end all. I didn't get enough points, but I still managed to get into my course. And even nowadays, there's so much ways into everything. I know people say there isn't, but there is. I know it's only when you're older and you realize that you know, there's different routes into every course. There's different jobs. There's so much out there that if the leaving cert isn't for you, that is okay. As long as you keep working hard after that and keep your goals in mind, you will get there. I just think that's quite important.
And even on how you dealt with your stress during it, do you notice that you're still doing the same things now, or?
Yeah, I suppose I'd be quite organised, or try to be. So I'd have, you know, like especially if you had training Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you know I did the evening study, so I'd be staying in school till 6:30, but training was at 7. It was definitely hard, and you might have a test the next day, especially in the evening cert. So for me, being organised and maybe having to skip a training or talk to the managers, and just try not to put too much pressure on myself. I have to say my football managers are very understanding. As they are, especially with leaving cert year. Again, exams and stuff come first. So it was more so being organised, knowing, okay, on Friday I have a geography test. I need to be prepared for that. If I have training Thursday night and I can't make it, that is okay. But it is a stressful year. I'm not going to lie. It just feels like everything. You need to know everything. But as long as you kind of keep on top of your workload, have a diary, write down what you've coming up, not even your school diary, just something separate. Have the evenings you've training, have whatever you have on that week, have it all planned in advance, and at least you can see, okay, well, this is what I have coming forward. And it will be stressful, but I just found that being organised and seeing my plan in front of me really helped me.
Conor, you had planned on becoming a teacher after leaving cert. You were studying Irish and geography while you were in UCD. What changed in your life that made you take notice of what you actually wanted to do in opening your own gym?
Well, to be honest, like leaving cert year for me was just crazy. That was the year I ended up playing for so many different teams, and it was just a mental one. It was just there was kind of whispers being brought into under 21, and sport, to be honest with you, was number one. And looking back on it, probably shouldn't have been as much. But listen, that's I wouldn't go back on it whatsoever for the situation I'm in now at the moment. But sport was number one, and I think teachers kind of realised that at times, and some teachers tried to really help, and other teachers kind of put more pressure on to focus on your studies, and some teachers didn't understand as well, which is something I feel lads and girls who are playing sport at a high level, some teachers just don't understand, and like that you have to. I think the sooner you realise that, the sooner you can kind of work on it as well. Like, just side story, I remember going into my French teacher. We had played, I'll never forget, we played Waterford in WIT on a Thursday night, and I had a kind of half French test. It was a double class on the Friday morning, and I went in, and it was an oral test, and as I was going in, had my gear bag with me, my hurl and all that, and she just turned around and asked me the question in French. Literally, I had said, "I'm sorry, I'm late," or whatever. I was late coming in. I was doing a bit of homework actually that morning. That's why I came late. And I answered the question, and I was kind of surprised I even answered the question, to be honest with you. And she said, "Yeah, not too bad for a part-time student." So I was like, right, okay. But listen, like I said, sport was number one. I'm not saying that was the right thing, and like I said to you, there was teachers there that probably would have advised me then to go down the teaching route because of sport, and it was only when I went down that route and was in the course that I realised that I kind of only half had an interest in doing that. And listen, like I said, sport is number one. So, and now I'm in a job that like exercise and everything to do with it is literally number one. So that was kind of the route I went down, and I wish I probably had went at that a little bit earlier. But listen, I don't regret it. Going into that situation, because I think it makes you stronger as well, that you're able to say, okay, I think there's just so much pressure on everyone to go to college. There's so much pressure on, you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to play Fitzgibbon, you have to, you know what I mean? Why? You don't. You literally don't. If it means like Aishling said there, you have to go to a level 6 or a level 7 to go be something that you want to be. Like, I just think there's too much pressure on CAO and getting first choice, second choice, and all this. It's just, I think if you just really knuckle down on what you really, really love in your life, I don't really see getting up at 5 or 5:30 in the morning to go up and train somebody as a job, like, because I love it. The day you love your job is the last day you work. That's what I always say. And that's just the way, and since I started in the gym, obviously it's tough getting up some mornings. Yeah, of course it is. But I enjoy it. And like I say, the day you go into a job that you love is the last day you work. And that's the way I see it.
That even ties in with our fourth topic, which is keep learning. You said you made your senior debut in 2013 while you were still in school. What have you learned from it, and what advice would you give to anyone trying to break into a panel now, whether it be a school panel, a club panel, or a county panel?
There's obviously, there's obviously an awful lot of hard work into whatever you go into in your life. You're going to have to put some work in, whether it is school, whether it's trying to break into a panel. There is an element of hard work that's going to have to, take place before you get to that position, or before you get your points in your leaving cert, or before you get to where you want to be in your career, whether it's 5, 6, 7 years down the line, or whether it's 2 years down the line. It's the same thing with sport. There's an element of hard work has to be done, but I would just say to anyone, like, just stick to a process. Trust that the work you're doing is going to be beneficial to you in the long run, and listen to people who've been in the position that you're in, and try to take as much advice on board. And other than that, I kind of go against the grain sometimes and just say, literally be yourself. Literally be the person you want to be. Don't try be the next Conor McDonald. Don't be the you. Be the person that you want to be. There's no point in me turn around and have wanting to be the next Owen Kelly or the next DJ Carey, because you can't be the next. You can only be the best of you. And you enjoy life then an awful lot more. You enjoy the process an awful lot more. You enjoy working on yourself rather than trying to be someone else. And I know I touched on that earlier about training and being active and stuff like that. You can only ever be the person that you can be. You can't, and the more you work on yourself, the better you're going to be. Don't try to chase someone else's dreams or what someone else has done. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Aishling, you were also in a similar situation. What other advice would you have?
I have to actually agree with that as well. Just be yourself. Everyone has something unique they can bring to a team. Like, it could be something small or it could be something massive. Another thing I found was, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid. If you trust the process and you keep working hard, you will get there. Not everyone comes in on the first year onto a senior panel and walks onto the team. Yeah, there might be some players, but not everyone does. Some players have to work really hard, build that up, and when you get that chance, you have to take it. So, and you can get disheartened, I'm not getting my place, or I didn't get a game. And yeah, there will be a lot of days like that. And you might feel like you're the only person in the world that feels like that. But trust me, everyone has gone through that at some stage the whole time, growing up, whether it's underage, senior, whatever it may be. So that's what I say. Don't be afraid to just take the chance. Things aren't working out. Keep doing what you do. Keep working hard. It will eventually come. But that would probably be my main point. There is going to be good days, but you have to remember there probably will be bad days. But as long as you keep focused, keep working hard, there'll be probably more good days than bad days.
Which leads us on to our fifth topic, which is give. Aishling, you said before you coach your club's under 12 team. given time to a hectic schedule like yours, how does that help your well-being?
I have to say, I love it. I just find it a breath of fresh air. It's so rewarding. Especially I came home from Australia, so two of my sisters were already coaching the girls, and then obviously when we were allowed to get back playing, there was some new girls in the team, and we'd set them little kind of homework drills. It might be something as simple as you have to stroll around your house 10 times, and the difference you would see in the space of 3 weeks within the girls, especially because they're under 12, they're growing and they're developing, is like phenomenal. And I just found it so rewarding. They're mad into their TikToks. You'd see them doing TikTok dances on the field and you'd be like, oh my God. But no, it was brilliant. And I have to say, I love it. I've done it now probably the last 2 years. And I just, it's so amazing to see the talent they have and the fear. They just have no fear at all. And they'd always come out with lovely comments. Their goal is to get playing with us when they're older and stuff. And it makes even like that sense, I don't know what you'd call it, but like it's just so lovely to see. And they're feisty as well, so it's good. I have to say I love it now, and I love coaching, and I'd love to try obviously take or help more of the teams in the 14s or the minors with that. But for now it's just under 12. But yeah, it's brilliant.
And as you said before, you did your HIIT workout online, and Conor, you also provided online workouts. How and why did you decide to use your knowledge and expertise in the area of fitness to make online home workouts for people that were struggling?
Well, for me, I suppose I came home from Australia and we literally gone straight into lockdown. So for me, getting a job was going to be impossible. I was coming from obviously having a job or being paid as an athlete to then coming home and having absolutely nothing. And I'd coached circuits before, but I probably didn't have the confidence in myself to just say, oh, maybe I'll go and put it out to the public, because it is scary. I'm not going to lie. And sometimes I'm that type of person that just needs that little push. So as I said, I actually started off with my club teammates and found myself getting a little bit confident. And I remember talking to my family saying, look, I might try go live on Instagram and see, I don't care, maybe no one might want that from it, or maybe I might have one person. If I have one person, that's enough for me. And of course my family were like, yeah, go for it, because they want to do the workout as well. So yeah, I got the push and I just started doing them on Instagram, and it got a great response. And I was like, I started to build up my confidence. And now, even these days, just with football, I kind of had to calm it down a bit because I county and club, and my load was just too much. So even now these days, I might throw up one day. If anyone's free at 6 p.m. next Friday, I'm going to go live. And there is a good few people. And I suppose now that I'll be going back to Australia and I'll be doing probably a 14-day quarantine, I'd say if anyone's watching, the HIIT workouts will be coming 5 times a day. So yeah. But no, it's brilliant, and I loved it. And I was just even just saying to someone, said, that made my day. I didn't have the motivation to do it, and I'm so glad. And that alone just set me off for the week. I was so happy, and if I helped one person, I didn't mind. It was brilliant.
Go to you, Conor.
Yeah, like Aishling said there, it is quite daunting. I don't care who you are, going in front of a camera there, it's just so different. I love to engage with people face to face and in a physical environment, but it's very difficult. And the first couple of Zooms that I had done, people had their cameras off, they weren't talking back to me at times, and you're thinking, is anyone even there? But listen, the biggest thing I got from it is like Aishling said there may be people there that you would never even think of, that might send you a lovely little message, and for you doing something that we actually love doing, and working out and being active, there are people who might look up to you in other kind of situations, whether it's on the field or your kind of maybe positive outlook on stuff or whatever it may be, just from my own experience. But doing a little workout like that might not always be as strenuous as it would be for others, but to provide that kind of service to people who, especially in these times, are struggling to get out or struggling to just find the motivation for them to just even if they done half a session and felt better about it. That was my main aim. And it gives me a great kind of sense of satisfaction that you're doing good essentially, and you're helping people be kind of better for themselves, really.
Yeah.
I suppose to round off this, we're going to have a few quick fire questions. Don't shoot me for these questions. Either decided.
I'm bad at these. I'm so bad at these.
Don't shoot me for many. They were decided by the youth reps. So I'll go to Aishling. I'll go to you first, and then I'll go to Conor and keep
Lovely,
going.
thank God.
Aishling, what's your match day essential?
Overnight oats and good music playlist.
Conor?
Yeah, Spotify and the full battery of my phone for it.
Aishling, what's your go-to pre-match meal?
Oh, overnight oats. I literally, or any type of porridge oats, something like that. I need a good carb hit.
Conor?
Yeah, same as, or maybe chicken and rice, I'd say.
Aishling, what's your favourite GAA ground?
My club pitch, Malorn.
And Conor?
I'd say, yeah, club pitch or Wexford Park, yeah.
Aishling, what's your happiest sporting memory?
Being part, we won the All-Ireland, Intermediate All-Ireland with Cavan the year I did my leaving cert, and two of my sisters and my dad was actually manager, so it was lovely.
And Conor?
The county final, our first ever county final with the club in 2018, just was special. There was so many lads you played with going up along. So,
Aishling, who's your childhood hero?
My childhood hero, probably, this is cliche, but my parents. I feel like there was no women in sport as much back then, so my parents and my sisters, I'm the youngest, I always looked up to them.
Conor?
Yeah, I always say family, or if it's from in a sporting sense, I would say there's two club members who played on the 96 team, and they were always there. So,
and finally, what's your biggest pet peeve?
Noisy eaters.
Yeah, that's a good. Or someone who bites their nails and makes noise. That really annoys me.
That's all for me anyway, lads. I'd just like to say thanks very much for being here tonight, and I wish you all the best of luck.
No problem. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks.